Hello, this is Igor Skardov with the Martinez Historical Society Oral History Program. Today we're in the home of Bobby and Lisa Boyd in Martinez. And so we're going to be hearing from Bobby a lot today. Perhaps Lisa will get a chance to chime in from time to time, but she's saying she wants to do this mostly on Bobby's side of the story. So we'll do that this time. Bobby, hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm finally getting over my initial shock. I
Good.
hope you're doing well yourself. Well, our technical crew is John Marangoni on the camera, and Art on the sound, and our producer is Debbie Zamaria. So let's go ahead and get started. Debbie and you have already had a conversation, and you provided us with some biographical information. So why don't we just start with your father, and we'll kind of work from there. Tell us a little bit about him, and then after that, maybe we can backtrack a little bit to go previously in your family's history.
Okay, my father's name was Caesar Boyd. He was born in Scott County, Mississippi. He passed away when he was 80 years old. He came to Martinez in 58 and brought the rest of his family here between 59 and 60. He sent for my mother and one of my brothers in 1859, and the other seven came in 1960. But my father was, we was farmers in Mississippi. We raised cotton. We was crow shoppers, and we would raise cotton during the summer. During the winter, we raised chickens. And his father was Ebron Boyd, and he lived in Mississippi, and he lived till he was 104 years old. And he was a farmer. He had his own land. At one point, I know he had 100 acres, and he raised cotton and sugarcane, peanuts, and pigs. And he sold pigs and he sold sugarcane.
And he had a lot of children.
Yeah, my grandfather, he had 9 kids with his first wife, and he was married 6 times. And his first 2 wives passed away, and Lisa probably gonna catch my leg, but the last 4 wives he had, back there they didn't get divorced. They just moved to another county. So he got married, and this wife didn't work out. He just moved to another county and got married again.
Wow.
He did that, I think, maybe 3 times.
What happened to the land when you moved to another county?
Well, he kept his land.
Ah.
He kept the land, and he just got married in another county and would go back home. And I got rid of that wife.
Goodness. So you mentioned the previous history of your family includes some other connections.
Yeah, my grandmother, my grandfather's first wife was part Choctaw. And then also on my mother's side, my grandmother and great-grandmother was part Choctaw. And my grandfather lived in a little town called Coney Harrison, Mississippi, and that's where the Choctaw was living at and was raised up at. So he bought this land in their area.
And so is there any information earlier on in your branch of the family?
No, not that I know about.
Okay. Well, thank you for doing that. That kind of gives us a lot of context. And so last time when we left, your father, he had come to California to Martinez, I guess?
Yeah, he came to California. He's with one of my aunt. My aunt came down. Her father had passed away, and she needed somebody to help her drive back to California. The guy that she came with decided to stay in Mississippi. And at this time, it was in November, so it got a little cold there. And she was telling my father, you need to get out of Mississippi. You're not going to get ahead here in Mississippi. So when my father first came here, he stayed in Pittsburgh with one of my uncles. And then he joined the labor hall here in Martinez. And he was working out of the labor hall. And this young man came in named Irvin, lived out in Franklin Canyon, and he raised chickens and hens. They sold eggs. So he came to the labor hall and asked, did anybody know anything about chickens? And my father said, yeah, I know a lot about chickens.
Yeah.
And so he gave my father a job, and he had a little trailer up there. So he let my father live in it. And in the meantime, my father told him about that he had a family that was still in Mississippi, and he wanted to get his family out here. And they built a house together up in Franklin Canyon, and the house still standing there. And they built it not on foundation, but they used telephone poles and put them down in the ground and built a foundation off of that. And they got the house finished probably around close to 59, end of 59. And that's when my father sent for my mother and one of my brothers. And they came out here on a Greyhound. And the rest of us, my sister had left Mississippi and moved to Las Vegas, and left 6 of us still there in Mississippi. So one of my brothers lived with an aunt, 4 of us lived with my grandmother, and I lived with a first cousin. And probably in end of May in 1960, one of my uncles came down to Mississippi in a 58 Chevy, 2 doors, and all 8 of us came back out here in a 58
And you were how
Chevy.
old then?
I was 10 years
10
old
years
at that
old,
time. And
So the 8 of you in a Chevy?
yep, it was 6 kids and my uncle and a friend with him that came
Yeah.
to help drive.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we came out here on Route 66.
Is that right?
Yeah. So.
How long did it take, do you recall?
Yeah, it took us 2 days and 2 nights. We left there on a Thursday. We got in Pittsburgh that Saturday.
So your father was then in Pittsburgh at the time?
No, he was in Martinez, living out in Franklin Canyon at that time.
Oh, that's okay. But
Him
you
and-
came to Pittsburgh.
Him and my mother, my brother was already living here in Franklin Canyon.
Yeah.
And but our first stop was Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And my aunt cleaned us up a little bit, and my parents came in, picked us up, and it was probably about a year before we had seen our mother, and it was 2 years before we had seen my father.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a good reunion.
I'm sure, yeah. So then you all went to the house?
We all went to the house out here in Franklin Canyon,
Yeah.
and at that time they had a restaurant out there, and it was a bar called Shady Glen.
Huh.
So off of Highway 4, and that was the only way to get through Franklin Canyon on old Highway 4.
Yeah.
And we lived up there till 62, and then we moved downtown Martinez, and one of the Millers,
Was that the whole family?
not the whole family, my sister wasn't with us at that time, my oldest sister. She was in Vegas, but she came shortly after that.
Uh-huh.
And then she lived, she was a nanny for a family in Warner Creek, the Harrison family. And so she lived with them, and then she came home on the weekend.
And you all moved to a place in Martinez?
We moved to a place in Martinez. It was a 1-bedroom, and when my sister came, it was 10 of us in a 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
And we lived there probably for 2 years. And downtown Martinez, we probably lived in 4 houses, all in 2 blocks apart. So
Which part of Martinez was that?
It was on Berlassa Street, down by the cannery. At that time, they had John P. Serper car lot there, and we lived right there. And then behind us was the Costanza, and the Aiellos live up the hill, and Pellegrini's, they live across the track there. And it was a neat neighborhood, really great place to grow up
Yeah.
at. And Martinez was a great place to raise a family at that time.
Wow.
So Martinez have been really good and
Yeah.
kind to my family.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. Did anyone stay behind in the house in the Franklin Canyon?
No, the guy that owned the house, he was a professor at Cal Berkeley. Him and his wife both was teachers at Cal Berkeley. They tried to sell it to us, and my mother didn't want to live in the country anymore. So my father wanted to stay, but my mother overruled him at that time.
That's the way things go, right?
Yeah. But we should have stayed.
Yeah.
But I think at that time it was 14 acres, and he was going to sell it to us for $12,000, and that was in 1962.
62.
Yeah.
So that's when you came and you lived in downtown Martinez
Yeah.
for a period of time.
Yeah, we lived in downtown there till 67,
Yeah.
and that's when my parents moved to Vallejo.
Yeah, now there's a story behind that move. Could you tell us that? Why they had to go to Vallejo?
Well, Louis, we looked for houses in Martinez and wasn't in downtown for sale. We was living in Pete Sanfilippo house, his grandparents, his family house, where he was raised up at, but he didn't want to sell it. And we tried to buy out off of Pacheco and a few places, and they wouldn't sell to blacks at that time. So they sort of kept us downtown. The area downtown there was very few black family in Martinez in the early 60s and the 50s.
There were very few black families. Did you all know each other pretty much?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We knew each other pretty well. We sort of took care of each other, but downtown it was really nice to grow up. Like I think like Tom Gritty lived down there, Ronnie Terre, the ILOs, the Costanza, the Pellegrinis, Connie Lehman, all us down there. We all was pretty close. And Johnny Spursino lived right around the corner
Yeah,
there, and he was a great guy. So,
But yeah, you couldn't buy a house there.
well, we could have down there, but when nobody's selling any down
Oh,
there.
I see. Yeah.
But on this side of the town, past almost, if you got past probably Green Street, it was pretty tough. That neighborhood there on back, you could buy, but wasn't nothing down there for sale. And there was a house, like I said, off of Pacheco, which is out by where right now Ace Hardware at in that area, the home back there. Somebody made what it sold, but the guy that they had put a deposit down on the house, once he found out that it was selling it to blacks, he wouldn't sell it
Wow.
to us at that time.
And when was that?
Where was it at?
When was
That was in 67.
67.
And
Yeah,
that's
not that
when,
long ago. Yeah.
That's when one of my, I have a pastor at our church then, a guy named Walter Polk. He had moved to Vallejo in the Crest out there by the fairgrounds. And he said it was a house next to him for sale, a 4-bedroom. And at that time, my brother and my father, they put a deposit down on it and they fixed it up. And they ended up buying that house for $12,000.
Okay.
And
yeah.
my parents stayed there until they couldn't stay anymore, and then they moved. My mother and father moved in with me. My mother was blind. She had diabetes really bad, and she was blind, so she moved in with me. And my father had died of dementia, so he moved in with me at that time. But when it got a little worse, we had to split him up, and he lived with one of my brothers.
So when they moved in with you, where were you living then?
I was living on Camino del Sol.
Oh, in Martinez.
In Martinez, off of Pacheco, and that was with my first wife, Diane, and we lived up there. And then I got divorced, and then I moved with a friend of mine out in Alhambra Valley, and I lived with him for 5 years. And after that, I moved in got my own place on Vista Oak Apartments, and that's when both of my parents came and lived with me for about 2 or 3 years.
Wow. A lot of connections all through there.
Oh, yeah.
With a lot of different folks. Can you tell us a little bit about your mother's side of the family?
Well, my mother's side of the family, my grandmother was just great. She was great. She was really funny. And she would tell us stories or say things that make you laugh. I don't know if I can say this on camera or not, but she used to tell one of my aunt that was living, was probably a little closer to my age. My mother was having kids same time my grandmother was having kids. So my mother got married when she was 13 years old, and she had her first kid when she was 15. And from that point there, every 2 years, she had a kid.
So that would have been your oldest brother then.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So she had 9 of us, and one died real young. And my oldest sister died in 98. She was a nurse at the VA hospital, and her name was Vernette.
The VA hospital here?
Yeah, she was a nurse at the VA hospital here.
So most of the siblings all made it out here eventually?
All made it out here, and we all did. Like I said, Martinez was a great place to raise a family. My father, didn't want to live in Pittsburgh, didn't want to live in Oakland or Richmond. He wanted to keep us safe, he said, and so we stayed here, until '67. That's when they moved, but all the kids was pretty well grown by that time. I was a junior in high school at that time. But my mother, she was I always say that she was prayed up all the time. She really believed in God, and she thought God could do anything, which I think the same. But she really trusts God, and that's what got us through. Listening to her pray. My brother was telling me when he was in Vietnam, he could hear my mother, could feel my mother praying for him.
Yeah.
And so that was sort of neat to hear that. But when I was young and in high school, and she would be praying, and I would say, "Oh, is she ever going to stop?" But now I understand why she was praying. So, probably kept us out of some stuff. But my father had a little rule. He had never been to jail, and he had a rule that you using my name and you carrying my name, so I don't want to see you guys in jail. So we sort of stayed on the down low, kept out of trouble, and did what he said to do. He ran the household. He was the head of the household, and he proved it, and then he showed us, and he taught us how to work and how to survive. He taught us how to survive and work in Mississippi. I started picking cotton when I probably was 5 years old.
Yeah.
So and then during the winter, I started feeding chicken when I was 5 years old. We had thousands of chickens that we had to take care of, and
This was all in Mississippi?
all in Mississippi.
When you were 5 years old, you were feeding chickens?
I was feeding chicken, picking cotton at 5 years old. Yeah.
Was that pretty much the way things were for most of your family?
Yeah, until we moved out here, and it was like that. We was farmers. I think when I was 8, we finally got power in the house. We never did have a indoor bathroom in the house, but we had propane gas in the house, and then we had light in the house when I was about 8 years old. And I remember getting a TV.
Yeah.
When we was about 8 years old, and
Wow.
we was one of the first blacks in our community that had a TV.
Yeah.
So Friday night, the
Everybody come
community was
over?
at our
Yeah.
house with a big
Yeah.
fish fry. We had a fish fry almost every Friday,
Wow.
and we
Yeah.
would catch fish, and
A
everybody.
real strong community
Yeah,
feeling then.
yeah. So and a lot of them was relatives
Uh-huh.
that lived and worked on the farms too.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's see. This brings us back again to your family back here, Martinez. Have we pretty much covered your mother's side then?
Yeah, my mother side, she had I think she had 4 sisters and 4 brothers, and most of them came to California. Her side of the family, she had 3 sisters that came out here and 3 brothers. They moved out here. The sisters was here before she came. The sister probably came in '56, and then 2 of them did. And one of her sisters was in Milwaukee, and she had another brother that was in Annapolis. But most of them ended up coming to California, and one of them moved back to Mississippi, and probably in the '90s, early '90s, and then he moved back to Pittsburgh. Mississippi wasn't the same anymore, he said. So he moved back, and they all passed away. All of my mother brothers and sisters, I think one of them still living. On my father's side, they all have passed on.
So this comes to you, that you're the generation.
We
now,
are the
huh?
next generation. I tell when we do the family thing, I tell my grandkids, nieces and nephews that we are the next generation dying. They don't like to hear that. But
it makes it plain.
But I make it sort of plain to them. I'm saying we are the next generation that's leaving here, and you guys got to take this on over
Yeah.
and go for it. So they started doing it already.
Yeah.
My son is 40 now, and he helps out, and my daughter, they involved in doing it now, taking, having the family get together. They just had one a couple of weeks ago at one of my sister's house. Almost all the family went, except I don't think we made it, but the rest of my brothers and sister did. I had something else going on. My son was leaving and going back to Chico to school, so we didn't make it that. But during the summer, we do get together. We do a thing called Celebration of Life. We celebrate my parents' birthday in September. My mother was born September the 8th, and my father was September the 11th. So we celebrate their birthday, and we do it here most of the time at the house in the backyard. So my father and mother love chicken and fish, so we do a big fish fry and chicken. And then everybody brings side dishes. But we started doing that probably in the early 90s, not early 90s, after we got married. I got married to Lisa. We probably started doing that in 99, and we've been doing it ever since. Because my sister passed in 97, and my father passed in 98, and then my mother passed in 99. So ever since 99, we've been doing a thing called Celebration of Life, and we tell the young ones how we got here and how that we got over, how God kept us. We always use how God kept us because all my brothers and sisters, we end up doing quite well for ourselves. We all own our own houses, and my father had us working when we was young, so we knew how to work. And so I have one brother that lives in Oakley. I have another brother, James, live in Oakley. My sister live in Oakley. One of my brother, Jimmy, lives in Bethan Island. Pearl lives in Oakley. Fred lives in Pittsburgh. Billy lives in Antioch. And Shirley lives with my brother Jimmy because she's ill right now. And so she moved in with my brother. But we all was blessed to buy our own home before the prices went crazy, I guess. But we all doing quite well. And
Long
the family,
way from that little tiny place with all of you in that one small bedroom.
yes, yes.
You must
We've been blessed.
be very proud as well.
Yeah. And my mother was very proud. I remember her. At our church, we do a thing called testimony.
So your parents lived long enough where they could see your family succeed like this, huh? Yeah. That must
And my mother used to brag about it at church all
Yeah.
the time. This lady, Jean Arnold, used to be a teacher at the preschool. And she would say, "Oh, Lula, you talk about those kids all the time." And my mother, she was proud of her kids. She would tell them, none of my kids on drugs, none of them been in jail. I had 2 sons that went to Vietnam, made it back home, and they all own their own houses, and they all work. And so that would be her testimony at church, how good God has been to us. And so she wanted the world to know how good God has been to us and where we came from and our blessings. So she bragged about her kids, and she would tell people anything she want, her boys would get it. And my mother, she collected hats. She had all sorts of hats. And when she wanted something new, she would call her boys, and we would get it. Didn't matter what it was, how much it cost.
Yeah.
Mom wanted a new dress, a new hat. She called her boys, and she bragged about her boys. My boys take care of me, and which we did.
Yeah.
So that was sort of neat. And Thanksgiving was a great time in my family. We would, my parents, my mother and father would come and spend the night at my house, and we had Thanksgiving. That's when I lived off of Camino del Sol. They would come and spend the night with me, and they'd start cooking that night. And that morning, her boys all my brothers would come over, and we'd start watching football. And my mother would cook breakfast. Her and my father would make breakfast. It's a contest for them all the time.
Yeah.
Both of them was great cooks. And we would have cornbread stuffing, and they both would make one. And then we had to say which one tasted best.
Yeah. How did that work out?
Oh, that was tough. My father, they just gonna say you because you the woman of the house.
Yeah.
But he was a good cook.
Yeah.
But so that was sort of neat. I got a lot of that stuff there on 8 tracks videos, and we would tape, and I remember catching my sisters, Pearl and Vernette, eating out of the pot. And I taped it. They didn't know I had a video camera on. And it was going around and around in the house. And after we have dinner, I showed my mother that. I said, look at him, Mom, eating out of the pot. Nasty. And she was, you guys did? They couldn't say nothing because they was on tape. But it was just great time, the whole family. At one point, I think we had 60-some people for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Because it was all my mother's sisters and they kids. And we all had Thanksgiving at my house at one time. That's when my mother was pretty sick at that time. And they said she wasn't going to live very long, but she ended up living another 30 years.
30 years.
And she would tell the doctor all the time, nobody knows when she's going to die but God. So when they tell her that you ain't going to live, she didn't believe them.
Yeah, she was kind of living proof of that.
Yeah,
wasn't
she was living proof. So, but it was good.
Wow. Okay. Well, you talked a little bit in here about going to school. Can you tell us a little about your schooling when you?
Well, I came here. I went to Montecito. We came in May, and I was 10 years old. We living in the canyon out there at that time, Franklin Canyon. So we went to school for about a month. School was out.
You came from Franklin Canyon to Montecito School.
Montecito, which now is the adult school.
Yeah. My kids went to Montecito when they were small too.
Yeah, so I went there probably from 60 to 61, 62. And when I was 12 years old, we went to Martinez Junior High. But at that time, we had moved downtown. But we caught the bus. When we first came here, only blacks was at Montecito. Was one other guy, and his father worked for the railroad. And at that time, they had houses out in Franklin Canyon for railroad workers, and he lived in there. And this guy named was Johnny Lindsay. So I met him, and then school started back in 61. I was still at Montecito in 5th or 6th grade. They kept us all back when we came here, and 1 year. So I was at Montecito, and it was a little tough at first because when I left Mississippi, schools was, I went to all black school. I didn't go to school for a while when I was in 5th grade back there because my grandparents was living with them. I ended up working, so I probably stopped going to school for a while.
So when there was school in Mississippi, they were all blacks?
Yeah.
In the school you were in?
Yeah, that didn't change probably to around 73, 74. I think Mississippi was the last state that integrated.
Yeah.
They were. And so when we came to Montecito and had never been to school, I'd never seen that many Caucasian people or white people in my life. I remember going back home when we got out of school, telling my father we wanted to move back to Mississippi.
Oh.
And, you know, we was a little bit...
Something you were familiar with.
Yeah, we was a little bit afraid, but going into my 6th grade year, 5th grade year, when 61 was, I started meeting guys at a guy named Mark Kohler, Mark Watson, and they all went to the Catholic school, but we played sports together. And I never played sports until I came out here. So I got to know those guys, and that was sort of neat because it was different, but they treated me, you know, pretty nice, and we got to be friends, and I'm still in contact with those guys. We've been doing it probably for 35 years. We go camping every year. Mark Watson, Mark Kohler, Mark Deason, Larry Costanza, Larry Costanza, and Al Lexi when he was living, and Chris Kohler, Don Pilata. We go camping every year. We don't camp no more though. We rent a cabin now. So we go to Lake Davis every year in May.
Oh yeah.
So this year we leave in May I think May the 22nd. We'll be up there till May the 26th or something like that.
Well, that's a pretty time of year up there. Yeah.
Yeah, and we do a lot of fishing, trout fishing. So, but I've been fishing. Mark Kohler and I've been fishing ever since probably 67. My father used to take us fishing.
Yeah.
My father fished a lot.
Where did you go back then?
We was fishing the Delta. Mark Kohler, we would fish Comanche. We would fish New Malones Lake. We started fishing Lake Davis in 68.
That's pretty far away.
Yeah, so we was young then. We would go drive up all all day and fish all day and drive back at night.
Yeah.
But trout fishing, it was really good in the late 60s up there. But I still fish with Mark Kohler at least 4 or 5 times
So
a year.
these were all folks you met through the sports?
To
pretty much?
sports and school here.
In school, yeah.
Mhm.
And that was at Martinez Junior High, pretty much?
Yeah, I met him at junior high in Montecito, and then we started playing sports together in junior high. And then when we was freshmen, we all played football together at 9th grade, and we had a coach named Bob Houston, and he rode Okiwachi, and we was undefeated. We didn't lose a game my freshman year, and then my senior year we lost 1 game, and we was co-champ with Acalanes, and I think we was the first. 69 was the first team that had won it since '58, and that class was Rich McLaughlin and those guys in '58, and our coach was Charlie Turville and Bill Harvin.
Some pretty famous names.
Yeah, and then Norv Turner was a year behind us
Yeah.
in school, and but it was good.
So you guys did well.
We did
Yeah,
well. And
Yeah. And you still have connections through.
we still
Through that
we have a Christmas party
experience.
every year.
Yeah.
We get together. We have this camping thing, and then, like I said, we've been out of school now 50 years. 50 years. So we're supposed to have a reunion this year, but
Yeah.
we still pretty close class. So we started that in the '80s. We started camping together,
Yeah.
and started out with about 4 or 5 of us. Now it's about 15 of us.
Hmm.
So it's pretty neat.
Are the younger generation coming along in any of
Yeah,
these?
well, Chris Kohler, like he was a lot younger than us. He was
Yeah.
about 6, 7 years behind us, and now my son will probably start camping with us.
Yeah.
We sort of bring those guys in now
Yeah.
if they want to go. So there's a few of them that's a little bit younger than us now.
So what do the ladies do when these guys are off camping?
We have a good time. It's a wonderful time when they go camping.
I think my wife really enjoyed when I go fishing and come back home. She said I'm more relaxed and I'm a lot nicer.
Yeah. Exactly.
But fishing is one of my favorite hobbies.
Yeah.
So I probably have 15 or 20 fishing poles in the garage down there, and every one of them, people come by and go, why you got all these poles? Because all those poles do different things, different fishing.
Yeah.
I think the last couple of years I got into crappie fishing, and so I had to buy 2 crappie poles
Of
because I
course.
got 2 poles licensed.
Yeah.
So, but I got poles for downriggers, I got poles for lead cores, I got poles for the ocean. So I have a nice collection of fishing poles.
Yeah.
And my thing is I tell people they can borrow anything I got in my house, but I don't lend my fishing stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's personal.
Yeah, it's pretty personal to me there. But
All right. Wow. So that kind of covers you up through, I guess, Alhambra,
yeah.
and then you went to DVC for a while.
I went to DVC in 70, end of 69, 70, played football out there for 1 year. And at that time I was working, when I was in high school, I think I started working for Plant Market out at Shell. And I worked there probably a year and a half. And got to work with Ben Gaffani, but I was like a mail boy at Shell, so I would deliver parts to different parts of Shell.
Oh, the maintenance department, and they need parts.
They need parts,
Yeah.
and I would deliver, and then if they had stuff to go pick up, I remember going to Oakland over on Hagenberger. I forget the name of the place, but I would go pick up parts over there. And I remember a truck broke down at at Pier 39 or something like that, and I would have to take parts over there for them. And so I did a lot of that. And then when they had the strike in 69, they put me loading trucks, and I would get out of school at 12 o'clock, and I would go to work from 1 to 8 at night.
So this is when you're going to DVC?
That's when I was in high school.
Still in high
I
school?
was still in high school then.
And you had to get out of school at
At noon.
noon and then go
Because
to
I
work.
went to summer school. Charlie Turville had all the football players going to summer school.
Ah,
So we would go to summer school and take PE, and that way we got to work out. And because at that time you couldn't go to work out and go to practice until August. and that's when double started. But if you went to summer school, we was in this PE class, so we lift weights and we ran. So we got in shape before August got there. So
Yeah.
so I went to summer school my freshman year, my sophomore year, and my junior year. And then when I was a senior, I was ahead, so I didn't have to. I think I had to take history, English, and math and PE. That's all I had to do when I was a senior. So I started school at 7:30, and then I was out at noon.
And then you go to work at
And then I
Shell.
would go to work at Shell,
Yeah.
and I did that. And then after I got through working at Shell, I went to work for the recreation department. Bill Rooney and Joanne Donovan was running it at that time.
The City of Martinez
City
Recreation.
of Martinez. I did that when I was going to DVC. Also worked after school programs, and then I worked the summer program. I did that probably till '71.
What kind of work was that?
Just working with the kids, coaching. I coached youth football. Then I coached Pony League baseball, Pee Wee baseball. I probably coached for 15 years.
Yeah.
Did that, and then I went to work for the Boys Club as a program director. I think I did that '71, part of '72, and then '72 I went to work for the Martinez School District.
Now,
I'm doing
you
this-
did something pretty important in the boys' club.
Yeah,
Tell
well,
us about that.
I ended up getting Young Man of the Year because I coached baseball, football. I'm the one that I started girls' night on Thursday nights when I was working there. Because the boys' club was really down. We wouldn't have no more than 15, 16 kids at nighttime during the summer. So at this time, it was a guy named Art Contreras was running the boys' club. He was the director, and I was the program director. And I talked him into letting me bring girls in on Thursday night. And the count just went way up. Just went shot up. We was having 100 kids in there on Thursday night. And
The
so,
boys came where the girls were?
Yes,
Yeah?
that's how it worked. So, and these kids, girls was in 6th and 7th and 8th grade.
Uh-huh.
And that was about the age group of girls from 6th, and all the little boys that they all start coming. And at that time, it wasn't but $5 a year to be a member of the Boys Club.
Yeah.
So we even gave the girls, I think, a break. They were paying $2, $2.50 to be a member, and then they start coming once. And then I would go to meetings with other boys club. I think it was Marin Boys Club, Hayward Boys Club, Napa Boys Club, and Pittsburgh Boys Club. And so I was telling them about what we was doing. Stockton Boys Club, we would meet, program guys would meet once a month. And so they started doing it. And they couldn't believe how many kids started to join the boys club just because of girls.
Yeah.
And so now girls go all year round,
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
So
Change the name.
changed the name, Boys
Exactly.
and Girls
Yeah.
Club.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we started that in 1971, 72.
Wow. That was a
that was-
major thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, where are we going here? You told us a little bit about what you lived already, different jobs you've had, the Boys and Girls Club. And then how did you end up working with the school district eventually?
Oh, I worked there, I think my junior year during the summer, painting fences, Mark Kohler and I. Tom Lone was the business manager at that time, and he called me up and said, Bobby, you need a job for the summer. We hiring some young kids. So Mark Kohler and I went down to see him, and we started painting the Stockholm fence with lead paint because nobody knew.
Yeah.
I guess somebody knew, but we didn't know.
Yeah.
And the painters for the school didn't know, so they gave us this lead paint, and we went around, I think it was Montecito, John Muir, Los Angeles, and we painted those fence. Rolled them. Mark was on one side of the fence, I was on the other side, and we put us in a white suit. At the end of the day, we was sort of silver looking. And the painters would just laugh when we would come in. They had 3 painters in,
Yeah.
J.D. Beverly, Al Dye, and a guy named Herm. They was the 3 painters for the school at that time, and we would go in our silver suits, and they'd give us a new suit every day. But they would just die laughing because we had it all over us. Because he was on one side, the wind blow one way,
Yeah.
it's on me, and the wind changed, it'll be on Mark. So we did that one summer. Then 72, I didn't want to work at the Boys Club anymore. I had got to the point that I felt like I was doing the director work and the programming, and I just said I was going to quit. And at that time, I think Rich Saki and Dino Suri was on the board. They was the president of the Boys Club. And they tried to talk me in the stand, and I said, no, I'm leaving. So I called Tom Long and told him I need a job. So he said, yeah, we got some work. And so I started out as a painter helper, and then I went from a painter helper to electrician helper. I went from electrician helper to a plumber helper. And then that's when they had school buses. And then I went to mechanic helper. The mechanic helper, I served all the buses in the morning before they would leave the yard. And then in the summer, I washed them and waxed them with Bob McGuire. So that we would wax, I guess at that time they probably had 14 buses. And we would wash them out inside, and then we would wax the whole
Stand
bus.
on a ladder, I suppose.
We
yeah.
would wax those buses every summer. We
Wow.
did that for a couple of summers. And then they had Prop 13 came along. So they cut my hours down to 4 hours. And at that time, Tom Long called me up and said, come in the office. He said, I have a custodian job up at John Muir. You can go back full time if you take the custodian job. So I started working up there, and I worked for a guy named Ira Green. And the next year, they closed down John Muir, and they sent me to Montecito. So I stayed there for 2 years. They closed down Montecito. Then they sent me to the high school, and I was there for probably 5 months. Then Joe Cocazo called me up and asked me would I come to work for him at the adult school, him and Royal Sherwood. So at that time, they had a Morello school, and it was kindergarten through 3rd grade. And I went to work for Cocazo, and I would go to work at that time. I would go to work at 9 in the morning, and I got off work at around 6 o'clock. So I worked at the adult school in the morning. Then at lunchtime, I would go out to Morello. I did that for probably a year, and then that adult school just blew up, got really big. And so at that time, I was the only custodian there, and they let me hire a night guy. And it got even bigger. We started putting in portables. Then they let me hire another guy. And then they made me as a supervisor at the adult school. And I did that for about 3 years. And then Pat Crocker was the superintendent of school at that time. And she called me up and said, I need to meet with you. And she said, you're going to run all the schools. You're going to be in charge of all the custodians. I said, I don't want that job. And she said, well, Bob, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to let you think about it. She let me, I probably thought about it for a couple of months. She called me back up, and I told her I still didn't want it. And she said, we'll do a lot of things in life we don't want to do. You taking over junior high tomorrow.
Wow.
So I started running junior high, and then a month later, she said, you in charge of all the schools. And then I said, okay. And then after that, they moved me downtown. I think at that time, Rich Odegaard was the business manager. And the superintendent at that time was, God, I forget his name, but they called me up and said, we want you to help with the maintenance crew too. And they had a guy named Rusty Myers. And when Scott Brown came, Scott White came, and he said that Rusty was leaving, and you're going to run all the school. You're going to be in charge of maintenance and operation, custodian, paint, everybody. You're going to run all the school. So I started doing that, and I think that's when John came along, and we put started solar heat on the Farmers Art Building. And so I remember starting that and getting it about finished. Then I retired. Dan White told me he was going to leave, and next year I came home and told Lisa, God, I got 34 years in, and I don't want to work for another superintendent. I had enough.
This is 34 years for the Martinez School District.
And so I went up to PERS, and they said, yeah, you'll get this amount. And I said, okay. So I went down to the district and told them that. I said, October is going to be my last month. I had enough sick leave and vacation time. So I stopped working in October. My retirement date was December the 31st. So I went on vacation and was going to use my sick leave up, but then I didn't use it up. So they gave me 2.5% for my sick leave. So that made me retire. Then I cater. We had a catering business, and I did that we did it for 15 years. When we had Daniel, she didn't want to go back to work. So I started catering. A guy named Mark Gidding built me a big smoker, which was about 28 feet long with the box and everything on it. And at that time, they was remodeling the junior high, rebuilding it. We had a boiler room there and had a big old water holding tank. And then Lyle Fadden had one, and they were both 8 feet long. And so
Your portable tanks?
yeah,
Yeah.
the whole water. And I took those, welded them together, and Mark Gidding built me a big pit.
That became your barbecue pit?
Became a barbecue
Yeah.
pit, a Texas smoker, we called it. And, so we did a lot of weddings, some funeral, but I did a lot of stuff for the school, retirement party, Christmas party. And I think I did Rich McLaughlin wedding when he got married after his wife died. And I did his mother birthday party. I did his mother funeral. I did his kids rehearsal dinners. But we kept busy. And after I got turned 62 and I started getting that old man check, I quit catering. I quit catering. So I stopped catering when I was 62.
Yeah.
And I still do family stuff.
Yeah.
But I got rid of all the pits. I sold another pit that I had made to a church in not Oakland, but San Francisco, Daly City. And I sold the big pit to a farmer up in Brentwood. And now I have 5 pits in the backyard. Small pits.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But they all do different things, so she let me.
Yeah, the specialty pits,
Specialty,
yeah.
yeah.
What are some of the specialties that you do?
Well, I got a smoker, and we was raised up in the South. My father, we had a smokehouse. So he smoked with hickory, but he built like a little log cabin house, 12 by 12, and it was log, and then he would pack that old red mud in the gaps, and then he had to cut 2 55-gallon drums and cut them in half, and the floor was dirt, and then he would have hangers hanging up, and he would smoke ham, bacon, he would make his own sauces, and he would smoke that stuff for days, and that's how we kept food during the winter and summer, because he would smoke it, because we didn't have refrigerator power, but we ended up getting an ice box, and the iceman would come by once a week, and we would buy a block of ice, and that's how we kept stuff cold, but we didn't have that much stuff cold stuff, but the meat and vegetables and stuff my mother canned, made jelly, so that's how we survived during the winter.
He knows how to make jelly too.
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
Does candy.
What's your favorite?
I like, my favorite is blackberry or strawberry, and then I like pineapple mixed with apricot.
That
But
sounds
I
pretty
still
good,
make
yeah.
stuff that my father taught, like called head cheese. So I make head cheese.
Yeah.
Make that. I make my own sauces. I got probably every gadget you can name
Yeah.
to cook with, and I'm still buying gadgets.
Barbecue gadgets or gadgets?
Barbecue
yeah.
cabbage, and I got sauces maker
Yeah.
down there. I got a meat slicer like the deli has.
Yeah.
I got some toys.
So what are some of your other pits that you had? You talked to us about the smoker. And,
I got 2 smokers, and then I got a cover grill, and then she bought me a pit for Father's Day one year that for
Yeah.
camping and it folds up and it's got legs on it. But when we was camping, I could put 4 slabs of ribs on it if I wanted. And then when I took her and Daniel,
these are not your fishing trips. This
yeah,
is
these
some-
on the fishing
Are
trip,
they?
but
Yeah.
this is when I
That's
go
how
camping.
They eat on the fish.
Oh, they,
Oh, we eat well.
you don't rely on just the fish that you
We-
catch,
No,
huh?
we eat well. Guys tells me we got a group, we got a team group, and I think my team is Dave Cadenzi, myself, and a guy named Ray Patterson and Larry Costanza. So I buy all the stuff. I do the cooking, but they chip in on that dinner. And so Mark Kohler and Mark Watson and Clark Fresky and Chris Kohler, they do the all-American dinner, and that's hamburgers, hot dogs, apple pie, and when we do it, I do ribs, I do chicken, I'll do potato salad, ball tips, and then I'll make homemade peach cobbler, I'll make homemade banana pudding. So they look forward to me, my night. So Larry will tell me real quick, I said, I'm not cooking this year. We're going to go with Dave's going to be the cook, and I'm going to be his helper. He goes, I can get spaghetti anytime.
Yeah.
And Dave, his father used to be John Cadenzi. He used to cook at Paul's, and he also cooked at Franklin Canyon Golf Course.
Yeah.
So Dave was a pretty good cook. And so I said, no, we having spaghetti and salad this year. And Larry telling me, no, we ain't doing that. I said, Larry, you don't have to cook. You don't never cook. But he'll wash dishes and do the cleanup.
Yeah.
But so much time I have took my deep fryer and I fry turkey while we camping. I took my deep fryer, I'll fry chicken and have potatoes. So
You must have to tag a trailer to carry all this stuff.
yeah, we fill it. I fill it up in my truck, high chest, and I don't now where we go. I don't have to bring all that stuff because we got a cabin that we use. It sleeps about 16. And
A cabin that sleeps 16.
It's got TV. It's got a kitchen, microwave. It's got everything. In it. Everything in
We
it.
saw enough bears, so it was kind of
Yeah. So yeah, we decided to go inside
There are
now.
problems with bears up there?
Well, there's a few,
Yeah.
and I'd never seen bears, and I fished up there from '68 until about 2 years ago, and that's the first time I seen a bear was a couple years ago. And Larry Costanza was telling us coming home, a bear ran in front of him while he was driving home, and we said, Larry, you was asleep, you didn't see no damn bear. So the last time that Mark Kohler and I went up fishing, just me and him, a bear shot across in front of us, a big black bear. And I said, shit, Larry was real. He was not lying.
And then the bear on top of the truck.
Oh, then we went fishing. We was fishing at Frenchman at that time. And we was all camping, Al Lexi, and Lexi pulled the Vietnam thing on us. He was in his tent, and he put ropes all the way around his tent and hung pots and cans on it. So if the bear hit it, make a noise.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sleeping in the back of my truck with Mark Kohler. I had a nice camper, and bear got on top of my truck. I had an ice chest in the front seat, and the bear was trying to get in to get the ice chest. And he was the truck was rocking, and Mark Kohler snores really, really loud, so I thought it was him. And I elbowed him, and he wakes up, and he was still rocking. I said, "Something on the truck." And he looked out, and the bear, they called him Cinnamon, and he was on the truck. And Mark yelled at him, he jumped off my truck, jumped on Dave Cadenzi's truck, and then he ran. And Mark Deason is really funny. We're in the state park. We don't supposed to have guns, but everybody got a gun for bears, they say. But Mark Deason got his gun, and he sleeps no tent right next to the campfire. So he's sitting there, laying there sleeping, and the bear was from here to you. And he had candy, and the bear started eating the candy, finished the candy, then he left. And Mark Deason had the gun. He said, "Oh, please, Mr. Bear, don't make me do this." So the bear left, and Al Lexus said he'd seen the bear the whole time. He had his gun, and only guy that had a gun that we didn't uncover was Dunn Pilata. And Dunn's about blind. His glasses are really thick.
Yeah.
And Dunn said, "I got my 9." And Mark Deason said, "No shooting guns in the camp." I said, "Dunn, man, I'm brown just like that bear. You shoot me."
With thick glasses.
With those thick glasses, you can't see. I said, "Go put your gun away." But we all had some great time camping together.
So you had names for these bears.
Oh, yeah, well, that's what the camp director said. His name was Cinnamon.
Yeah.
So, but we have some good time. So I have met some great people in Martinez over the years. Good friends that I still have. Like I said, I raised my kids here in Martinez. My daughter, my son, all three of my kids graduated from Alhambra. My nephews, a lot of them graduated from Alhambra. Nieces graduated from Alhambra. My wife graduated from Alhambra. her brothers graduated from Alhambra. So Martinez been good. Good place to raise a family. Good community.
Wow. Well, it looks like it's much better because you were in it. But here's the part where I think maybe we can bring the two of you together. Can you tell us about how you managed to come together?
Well, let me just throw my best friend in. Murdy Dempsey was the first person I met in Martinez that was black. And we lived in Franklin Canyon at that time. My brother Billy had went to junior high, and he said he met this black guy down there. And I was shocked because I hadn't seen any. And he said they live downtown. And so that Saturday, after we fed all our chicken, my brother Billy and James and myself, we walked from Franklin Canyon 5 miles all the way downtown to meet this family. And Murdy was, I'm about 9 months older than Murdy. And so we met them, the Dempsey family, and his mother gave us a ride back to Franklin Canyon. And but he's still my best friend that I met. We was 11 years old when we met, so, and we still see each other a lot. And he's taking care of his mother now. She just turned 98. So I go over and take food to him, cook stuff for her once in a while. But Murdy's was a lifesaver when I came here because he was raised up in Pittsburgh, born in Martinez, and they lived in Pittsburgh. But so we started hanging out when I was that young, and we still, my kids call him Uncle. And I tell everybody he's my brother, and Murdy's 6'8". And it's really funny because I got another friend that he was a Monterey cop, Ray Patterson, and he's 6'11". So when I'm with those guys, I look like a little midget, and I'm with both of them sometime, and I'm in between them, and I'm looking up at them all the time. But it was great having those guys in my life too. But how Lisa and I met. Well, when we was a kid, I was 12 years old, just had turned 12, I think. Lisa was mother and father lived upstairs next to Mother Miller house down there on Burlasa there. They lived upstairs, and we lived downstairs. At this time now, we had moved from 2 houses down there. Now we in our 3rd houses downtown. And Lisa's mother was pregnant, had a baby, and my mother was in the hospital at the same time. And we was all sitting outside on the fence waiting for Nancy, that's our mother, come home with the baby. And it was Lisa. And so later on in life, when I was 15, Lisa's mother and my sister and my brother and her father was best of friends. So they would go out and I would babysit. She always wanted me to babysit, so I babysat Lisa when she was probably 3 and 4 years old.
You babysit Lisa.
I babysat Lisa.
And like my siblings.
And her brothers and her sisters.
Yeah.
I babysat them for 2 or 3 years, so I was about 16.
Yeah.
And her mother always wanted me to babysit, and
She trusted you.
I used to tell them, I wasn't getting paid enough. They wouldn't go out until 10, 11 at night.
Oh.
Until we were asleep.
Until they was asleep, and then I'm there till 8, 9 the next day, and my pay was $5. That's what they would give me, $5. I thought I should have got more, but that's what I got, and we did that until, like I said, till I was about 16. I babysat them, and then when I got married and had my kids, Bobby and Lisa babysatted him.
He told me that I owed him.
So she babysitted my kids, and then we do a thing. I started a thing in the old neighborhood barbecue, and that was everybody that grew up in our neighborhood: the Costanza, the Pellegrini, Johnny Spursino, Tony Pellegrini, the ILOs, the Silvers, everybody in our old neighborhood, and we did it at Nancy Boyd Park.
That sounds like a roll call of old Martinez families.
That's what it
yeah.
was,
That's what it
and and we got everybody address that had moved, and.
Yeah.
And I figured maybe we're going to get 50, 60 people. We had over 100 people there
Wow.
because they all had kids, and they all showed up at Nancy Boyd Park. And I took a pit from the school, and I'm out there cooking. and cooking. But how we got it started, I think Lisa's father, my brother, and I think Prentice Miller, we all put in $100 a piece to get it going. Then we charged every family $20. Regardless, didn't care how many was in your family, it was $20. And we would have, we had ribs, chicken, hot legs, hot dogs, hamburgers for the kids. And we started by 10 o'clock and we would go to 8, 9 o'clock till it got dark. And we had food the whole time, and we ran out of food. So I told Lisa I owe her a dinner. We'll go out and hang out sometime. At that time, I was divorced. And her sister, Lorraine, kept on telling me, if you want to go out with Lisa, you better call her real quick, because she's got all sorts of guys calling her.
I believe it,
And
yeah.
so I'm saying, I am, you know, that's no big thing. And so the next week I called her and I said, would she want to go out and have dinner, just to hang out? It wasn't going to be, you know, boyfriend or girlfriend or nothing like that. That wasn't in my thoughts. But it wasn't. But,
You believe that?
but anyway, I called her and she said she was busy that night. And so it was Friday night. Her son was going to a dance at the junior high. So we ended up going that Saturday night, and we ended up going to Skates in Emeryville. And
Yeah, that's a nice place.
yeah, so we went out to dinner there and had dinner, and I was really impressed with her, because most times you take girls out, they wouldn't eat everything on the plate. She had everything on the plate. She had everything. I said, okay, until I bought a bottle of wine. We had a bottle
And
of
that
wine.
impressed him.
Yeah, because I hate going out with a young lady and they would eat a little bit and, oh, I'm full. And this going to cost me 50 stars and you're not going to eat it? Come on now. But she had everything. We drank a bottle of wine, had a couple of cocktails. And then it was a little club. I said, you want to go to a movie or you want to go to Christie? It was a little club in Emeryville that did karaoke. So we ended up going to do karaoke there. And we stayed till the bar closed, 2 o'clock.
This is who you
Put us
sing?
out.
Yeah, they put us out.
sing.
We didn't sing. I
Didn't
can't
sing?
sing. She can't sing neither.
Yeah.
So we didn't sing. So we sat there and just laughed and talked. And so we, should I tell them all the good part, babe?
That's how it started, and that's enough.
That's okay. But anyway.
This is the tape you want your family to see, right?
But anyway.
It's not that bad. He just
No, it wasn't that bad. It was
a little bit.
no, I'm not going. I should though, babe.
No,
All right, I won't tell. But anyway, I opened the door. She got in the car, and we stopped at my apartment. I said I had this tape CD, and it was Babyface, is the artist. So I gave her that, and then she looked around. I said, "Okay, now it's about 3 o'clock," and I said, "I'm gonna take her home." And she was living with her brother and her sister, so I take her home on Banbury Loop, and I gave her a kiss on the cheek. And I went home that Sunday. I think she went down to Monterey area, and must have been about 8 o'clock that Sunday night. I called her just to tell her that I had a good time. I enjoyed it. And she called me back on her way home. And so I told her, I said, well, I know where you at, because I hung out a lot in Monterey because my friend lived down there. And he lived in Seaside. So she called me back. And when she got home, she called me and said, I made it home. I said, good. So I said, well, I had a good time. So that Monday, she called and said, how's your mother doing, Miss Boyd? I said, oh, she's fine. Thanks for calling. And that was the conversation. So I hung up. Next day was Tuesday. She called again. I said, what's up? And she said, oh, I'm just calling to see, did you want to go out again? And I thought we were just going to, you know, just hang out. But we went out that next weekend. And then from that weekend on, we went out every weekend.
saw each other almost every day.
Every day. And then we we got engaged. We said we was going to get married in a year. And did we last a year? Yeah. Yeah, I
The
think
engagement was very quick.
yeah.
He asked me very quick.
Well, she was, you know, sort of desperate, waiting on me. But it was really funny because we went to the Claremont in Berkeley,
Yeah.
and I gave her the ring, and we decided to eat dinner at the Claremont. So when I gave her the ring, she yelled out, "I'm engaged!" And everybody in Claremont started looking at us.
You were embarrassed?
Well, a little bit, but but then a couple of weeks later, we was up at Tilton Park, going back to Berkeley, And she made me ask her again. She said, I know you're going to tell people I asked you, so you
Yeah,
asked me again.
He's a jokester like that.
So
you
I
had to ask
told,
him
I
a few
did tell
times.
people that she asked me,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I thought it was something.
So you had a double proposal, and the second
few
one was
proposals.
a
A
few.
few.
Yeah, a few.
Oh, you made him do it a few times.
Uh-huh.
Then.
Yeah.
I had
but,
to make sure he remembered he asked me.
But we ended up getting married at Heather Farm. And
Yeah.
Dan Kinger, I was helping him. I was catering with him at that time, and he catered it for us. And we went to Hawaii on our honeymoon. So, and our plan was, a few years later,
Can you get us? What time? When was that?
we got married in September the 28th,
Of
1997.
'97. Huh? Heather Farms.
That's pressure there she put
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You did good though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
97
Anniversaries
Heather Farm.
are good
Yeah.
to remember. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we got married in 97. We had Daniel 2000.
That was a surprise.
That was a surprise,
That's our
but it was
surprise, baby.
but it was a good surprise.
It was an excellent
Surprise.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah. I remember my daughter at that time. She was 18, and she was saying, "Are you having another baby?" And she said, "Dad, if it's a girl, you're gonna send it back. I'm gonna be your only daughter." So now she calls and said, "This is your favorite daughter," but that's the only daughter I have. But she was so happy when we told her that Daniel was going to be a boy. She breathed again. She didn't want a sister, but she just loved her baby brother.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was good.
Wow, what a story. Yeah. And then then the two of you, after all these wonderful things, the Heather Farms, Maui or Hawaii and all that stuff, then you've been together all that time since then. And you probably covered a lot of this, but there are some parts that maybe you want to fill in for us.
We traveled a little bit before we had Daniel. We went to Mexico. We took Daniel to Hawaii when he was, 2? And we took Daniel to San Diego, the zoo. We did a little traveling, and that was the plan, was to travel a little bit more. And then Lisa's parents got older, and then she have a brother that lives with us, Lloyd, and he's another godsend. Lloyd just turned 60, but he had a stroke, so we got a lift to get him upstairs, and he's special. He's special. He come home every day from his workshop, and the first thing he'd say to you, "I'm sorry." I said, "What are you sorry about?" He don't know, but he apologized every day when he come home.
I
Yeah.
ask you how you doing.
No, I say, "How you doing?" And are you mad at me today? Or
sweet.
he's got to be. He's just great, just great. He taught us a lot. He taught us how to love, how to be kind to each other. He just all of that.
Yes, he
And sometimes it's really funny. You can hear him praying. He'll pray for all his brothers and sisters and everybody in the house. And sometimes you don't know what he's saying. His speech a little bit off since he had that stroke, but he's just keep us motivated. And so we take him to workshop every day. He goes out here off of Port Chicago, and he loves to eat out. He loves to eat, and but Lord is just he make you think and he make you love. You know, because he loves so hard. And that was one of the things that I told Lisa. Then I'll be through with Lisa here. But she called me one night and she said, "Tell me a little bit about yourself." And I said, "Tell you a little bit about myself." So I told her, I said, "Well, I work hard, I love hard, and when I play hard." She hung up.
And that was enough. It melted. It was all the categories were covered.
Yeah.
But I always have worked, and always when I loved hard, and when I played hard. And I had some guys that I played hard with. Was one of my best. Another good friend is Mike Bell.
Some of
And,
the people you coach that's professional now.
Yeah, Mike Bell. They used to own Golden Bear Ford in Berkeley, and so when I got divorced, I moved in with him for 5 years in Alhambra Valley. So that was a great 5 years. But it got time for me to settle down again, so I moved out with Mike. I got tired of playing that hard.
That was playing hard.
Yeah. But I coached Jeff Van Gundy, Stan Van Gundy, and Jeff now announcing basketball games, and Stan coaching. He was coaching at Detroit. Jeff coached for Houston Rocket, and so I coached those guys when they was in junior high. I coached Jeff from fourth grade to ninth grade, and then he moved to New York with his father. His father was a basketball coach. And then I played football with Norv Turner, and then I was in Boy Scout with Norv Turner.
Yeah.
So I joined Boy Scout when I was in fifth grade. And I stayed in Boy Scout until I got into ninth grade, and I started playing sports. And then but my scoutmaster was probably one of the greatest guys that I knew, Joe Welch. So that's where I started learning how to cook at, because we was Pioneer Scout
Yeah.
when we went to Wolfboro. So we cooked our own food. And I remember cooking food in the ground in these cast iron pot, putting the rocks down, building the fire. And I would bake cakes up there, meatloaf, stew, all in the ground.
I'm gaining weight just listening to you.
Yeah, so I started doing that when I was in Boy Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back south, we never had French toast. And so we was cooking French toast at Boy Scout, and then I would come home and I made French toast for all my brothers and sisters, and they just thought that was great, having French toast. And spaghetti, Lisa's mother taught my mother how to make spaghetti. When we lived down south we never had pasta in the South. It was always, the stuff we had in the South was a little bit different.
rice.
I was raised up eating rabbits, raccoon, possum, fish, armadillo, turtles. So I ate all that stuff in the wilds. Sunday meals was whatever we killed. So it was different.
Yeah.
But California been good.
You've taken us on quite a journey,
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
We're starting to kind of get to the end of our time together for this time anyway. Is there something you'd like to sort of make sure you cover before we...
Just my
Finish up.
brothers and sisters, how that we was all raised together. And my parents was some of the people that helped start at Second Baptist Church. My father, my mother. I remember when they started raising money to buy a church, they sold a lot of chicken dinners. And I was 16 at the time, and that was my job, was to deliver dinners to people. Like Mitch Costanza had Mitch's Club. He would buy 4 or 5 dinners. The Halls on Granshaw Flowers, they would buy 3 or 4 dinners.
And people all through the neighborhood.
Yeah, people all through the neighborhood, businesses. And at that time, you got a half a chicken, potato salad, string beans, piece of bread, and a dessert for $2.50. So, but my father was a chicken cooker, and Mrs. Hopper, Miss Elizabeth, Miss Bertha, and Mother Johnson, Mother Miller's mother, would do the dessert, and Mrs. Hopper would do the potato salad, and my mother would do the string beans. But and they would have a good time cooking, and then I was delivering
And working for the Lord.
and working for the Lord. Yeah. So, but that's how that church got started. We started in after we moved out of that 1-bedroom home. Mr. Miller let them knock out a wall, so our church was in the basement. But when it rained, it would flood, and that's why we moved out of it, because when we rain like it is now, it probably got water in it today. But it would flood. We wake up in the morning and the water would be up to your knees.
Oh my goodness.
But then that's when we sort of moved around the corner into a 2-bedroom home. And then when we moved downstairs from Lisa, then we had a 4-bedroom home. Really was a 3. My brother was upstairs. My brother, James, had a little room 8 by 8. He slept up under the steps in that little room. He just had a mattress on the floor. But then he went to Vietnam from there, and my brother Bill went to Vietnam from there. So when they came out, we were living in Vallejo. Billy went to Vietnam in '66, and James went in '67. Billy did 13 months in Vietnam, and James did 9. But
So both the brothers were in Nam together, or did one
no,
come
they
out
didn't
of-
let 2 brothers be in Vietnam at the same time.
Okay.
So when Billy came out of Nunn, they sent James. to
And
Nunn.
throughout all this time, your mother prayed for him.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We prayed for him. She had us all on our knees.
Yeah.
But and my father too. You know, my father was a deacon at the church in Martinez, and now I'm a deacon at the church in Martinez. So, but my father could sing, and I can't. So he would do all those old hymns and
Yeah.
from the South growing up. And we had a great choir. Dolores, she could sing. So at one time we had a pretty good sized choir. I think I had 2 sisters was in the choir and 2 brothers and myself was in the choir. And could none of us sing, but we was in the choir. So it was numbers. But,
Okay, well, this has been a great experience for me. I just enjoyed every minute of it. I think we have pretty much covered the waterfront here.
yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of stories left untold, but
Oh yeah.
wow, this has been wonderful. Thoroughly enjoyed the experience.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And the only thing else I would want to probably add is name my sibling. My oldest sister was Vernette, and she was born in '39. And then my older brother, I had like 2 parents. My oldest,
sets.
2 sets of parents. My oldest sister was like my mother, and then my older brother was like my father, Fred. And Fred's still living, but he's got dementia. And then it was my brother James. He's still living, and he's sort of getting probably a little dementia. And then it was my brother Bill, and then it was my sister Annie. And then it was me. I was the number 6 kid. And then it was my sister Shirley. And then it was my brother Jimmy. He's the youngest. And then I had a younger brother, Roger, who died when he was probably about 3 weeks. So, but those people there are dear to my heart. We still see each other a lot. My brothers, when they was all able, we fished together a lot. And that's how we had fish fries, because we would go fishing and catch the majority of the fish. But
The togetherness of the family is very important.
Yeah.
They take time out to get together often, monthly or whatever, as a group and hang out with each other.
yeah, so my brothers, we still
That's special.
we'll do breakfast, try to do breakfast once a month. And my brother Fred is one that got dementia pretty good. He still think he's in Mississippi, and he just told me the other day. I went by to see him. He goes, "Yeah, I was in Morgan the other day. I got to go down and pick up Mom and Daddy. They still in Morgan." And so, and when you get dementia, I just ought to agree with everything he say. He tells me they still live in. I'll tell him, yeah. He tell me my father built a house that he lives in, and they dug the swimming pool, and my father put the pool in, and he built all these houses around them, and so I just say yeah. But he's
'Cause you have a lot of
happy-go-lucky
respect
guy
and
though.
honor for him.
Yeah.
A lot of respect
Yeah,
for him.
and he when I was in high school, my older brother took care of me. They really did. My father never did give me hardly no money. He always said, go get a job. I think when I was 12, he bought Murdy and I a lawnmower. And we cut lawns all around there on Casper Street, down by the church, and pushing that lawnmower down Main Street in Martinez.
Yeah.
But my brothers would, Billy would give me $10, Fred would give me $10. And in the 60s, that was a lot of money to have in my pocket. And I'll go to my A&W, we go to A&W, and on Friday night, my father did, when my brother Billy was playing ball, he would send me to A&W, and he would get everybody a burger. Him and my mother would get a Papa burger. The kids would get a Team Burgers. And then he would buy a gallon of root beer, and we would eat that, and we all go to the game, and we all sat together at the game. And then when I was in high school, first thing I did when I came out on the field, looked up, and there was my mother, my brothers, my sister, my little group. So it was just a good feeling having them there support.
And then when he won Man of the Year, Martinez Man of the Year. What year was that?
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get to cover that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, we're getting really close to being out of tape. Can
That's
you
good.
just give me that much about being Man of the Year?
Man of the Year was sort of surprising, really, because I got a call and they said, "You up for Man of the Year?" Judy Moon had called me, and I don't know who put my name in, and then I went to this dinner, and they said, "Yeah, you won. You're the Man of the Year, Martinez," and I got these little awards, and I think at that time Mike Mendocini may have been the mayor, and so that was it was neat being Man of the Year, and why I think I got Man of the Year, because my thing was getting out of a community together. So, and it didn't matter what color you was, what race you was. I started going to church, and I got into the church stuff, and my new thing was try to stay prayed up and have people love each other. So I did a lot of coaching back in those days, and so a lot of the kids I coached, they I guess wrote letters and stuff, and because a lot of the kids I coached still live in Evanham, Greg Menamer at that time,
So many.
Brian Sisman, all those guys, Brad Piggins, and all those kids, so that I coached, and most of them I coached for 4 or 5 years, from 9 years old till they got to high school, and so they thought the world of me. Johnny Rouse, not Johnny Rouse, but Walsh. Mary Walsh runs the daycare centers, not the preschools, and I coached day kids, and Chuck
coached
Fry.
everybody's
I coached
He
John
coached
Fry,
everyone's kids.
David Fry, the Fries.
We're probably not going to be able to
Everybody
run
knows
out.
Bobby
Yeah.
Boyd.
So I coached all those kids, and I kept them together. So I guess they thought I was.
I guess
did
they
well.
did,
Yeah,
indeed.
so-
Yeah.
Deserved it.
So they
Oh,
gave me Man of the Year, and then I had got Young Man of the Year for
Yeah.
the Boys Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So you're the,
But Chuck Fry was a really good guy. Yeah. He donated a lot of stuff under the table that people didn't know about.
well, I think that's probably a good note to wind things up. Man of the Year. Of course, remember you were Young Man of the Year, so you've been around for a while.
Yeah.
You're going to be around for a while more, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, like
And,
I had a pact with my grandfather that we both was going to live to 105. My grandfather was born in March the 22nd. I was born March the 10th, and he died in February. He missed it about a month, being 105.
Wow.
But
That's why he had that many wives. When you get that old,
yeah.
you did say that. He wasn't 60 with 4 wives. He was 104.
104.
Yeah, I think the last time he got married, he was 98 or something.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah, so.
Okay. Well,
All right.
I can't say when I've had a more fulfilling time just listening to these wonderful stories and the history and the community feeling. Thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Rob,
All righty. Thank you.
Lisa,
Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Been a pleasure.
Okay, this is it, guys. We're done.